Welcome back. Now, we have just received news that President Bola Tinubu has decided to give in to the demand of the House of Representatives by conferring the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, that's GCON now, on the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas. The Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, announced this in a statement saying the President was persuaded by the House of Representatives' position and has decided to remedy the historical error and oversight. The statement added that the Speaker, the Senate President, and other principal officers of the National Assembly and the Chief Justice of the Federation will be formally decorated with their new honors at a later date. But then, does this still resolve the issue of the status of the Senate and House of Representatives? Is one actually subordinate to the other? Let's get the view of another legal expert on this. Lawyer Evans Ufeli now joins me via Zoom. Evans, thank you very much for coming on the program. First, give me your take on the President's decision to make a U-turn and confer GCON on the Speaker.
Yeah, the President just bowed to pressure, and in doing that, he has further contravened the law. Because if you look at the National Honors Act, 1964, it states clearly that you can only give that position or that award to two persons in a year. But now that the House of Rep have put a lot of pressure on the President, and the President needs them, really. The President needs them. And the President is bound to pressure on the weight of politics. And in doing that, he has contravened the extant law that set up that national honor by giving a third person when the House had not amended that law.
But the House did say that they plan to amend the law, that they were going to start the process to amend the law. But shouldn't that have happened before the President's pronouncement?
They ought to have amended the law before the President can now go ahead and extend it to the House of the Speaker of the House of Rep. But the law has not been amended yet. So is it that they plan to amend it and to give it a retroactive effect? Or what? Because you cannot break a law and then rush the next day to go and amend it to suit the situation. So the President has just bowed to pressure by the weight of politics. That's how I see it. And this has further, complicated the issue under reference. The President would have maybe written them a letter and said, since they are going to undertake an amendment, they should go ahead with that amendment. Then after the amendment, perhaps he can do what he ought to do. But as it stands now, the President has violated that National Honors Act 1964.
Now, this whole issue also threw up that debate as to which of the two houses of parliament now is actually superior. The House of Representatives has come out forcefully to say that the Senate, the House is equal to in status now to the Senate, and that the Senate President is not in any way higher in rank to the Speaker, and that when you even talk about the leadership of the National Assembly, that it should be a joint leadership, so to speak, that they share equal status. And of course, they did say that they asked the clerk, for instance, to ensure that every correspondence, including the media, every correspondence should refer to the leadership of the National Assembly as a joint thing, so to speak. Give me your take on this. Is the Senate superior in status to the House of Reps?
No, not at all. The law didn't say so. The law didn't say so. The law only said that there shall be a National Assembly. Okay? And that National Assembly shall be comprised of two houses. That is the House of Representatives and the Senate. It is in the course of study that we were told that one is the upper house and the other is the lower house. But the law didn't say so. The Constitution didn't say so. Okay? So if you look at it, they sit jointly sometimes. Yes. They sit together sometimes. Okay? One whole plenary, you have one whole joint session. They do that at times. So the principal members are just first among equal. There's nowhere where the law says that the House of Representatives is a lower house and lower in ranking, and therefore their functions should be limited to certain, and then the Senate is the upper house and their functions should be limited to. A bill can be originated from Senate, a bill can be originated from House of Rep, whichever part, and it will receive the same attention and the same legislative engagement throughout the process. So in the course of studying this, you will be told that one is lower and one is higher. But the law itself has not made such pronouncement. And whatever is not expressly stated in the law cannot be read into it. The express mention of one thing excludes the other. There is the House of Representatives.
What about convention? What about convention and practice? Because we know, for instance, certain responsibilities that the Senate carries out that the House of Reps does not. I mean, you look at these responsibilities, critical responsibilities, when you talk about, for instance, the issue of appointments, confirmation of appointments, whether ministerial and other top appointments of government, that is done by the Senate, not by the House of Representatives. Doesn't that suggest that there is that the Senate enjoys some level of superiority? If you maybe superiority is not the right word to use, but that somehow there is some kind of hierarchy where one is higher than the other.
If you talk of visibility, the Senate enjoys that visibility and privilege, okay? But the privilege and the visibility by practice or by practicals, for me, does not in any way undermine the ranking of the House of Rep as a lower house in terms of functions and all that. There are circumstances where they actually divide functions, where some of the functions that is, handled by the upper house is different from that of the lower house. But my take is that the law did not pronounce a superiority or superiority over any, because the guiding principle here is the law. We can make of it what we feel, what we wish by theory and by practice and maybe by convention. Say that, yes, the Senate is the upper house because they have bigger responsibility, they have this, they have that, they undertake this and that. We can say all that to a level. But if the law have not pronounced, that hierarchy in terms of superiority and made it so clear, we will not be getting it right by, reading into the law what is not there. It is.
And again, when you look at the pay of the lawmakers, I mean, certainly senators earn higher than members of the House of Reps.
Yes, senators earn higher because you have 3 per state. You have 3 senatorial districts in every state. Why the House of Rep? It is based on the population and the local governments. Okay. The expansion for the House of Rep. So in that regard, they have different functionalities in terms of their conglomeration. But can we say because the senators earn higher, therefore they are superior or they are higher in ranking than the House of Rep? Is it really the law that they are higher? I mean, what they earn for me is based on administrative arrangement. For me, that's what I think.
Let us also look at the constitutional provision that says that sort of recognize. I mean, because the Constitution, you could say, recognizes the Senate President as the third most senior person in government. So, for instance, if when the president is not available or there's an impeachment of the president and the deputy, the Constitution requires that the Senate president steps in. Isn't that some kind of recognition of a higher authority?
That is what I'm saying. By virtue of the circumstances surrounding the issue, in terms of who takes over where the president and the vice president is no longer available by either action, the Senate president moved in. But the law said that the Senate, is superior to the House of Rep. by implication and by practical engagement, it seems so. But the law did not say so. The law did not say so. So the argument that the honor conferred on the Senate President, same should be conferred on the Speaker of the House of Rep, is valid to the extent that the law did not prescribe any ranking of superiority or inferiority. And that is why the President caved in. Partly, the other part might be politics, but the President will not want to toy with when the House of Rep is saying that there's disrespect, there's lack of recognition of honor of the Speaker. The President should have written a letter and then cite the Constitution or cite provisions and say, you know what, the Senate is higher in ranking, and then cite provision. They are the upper house, cite provision. You are a lower entity and cite provision. The President could have done that to clarify the space why he is doing that. But that is not, he didn't hold that line because there are no provisions of law to that effect. So he had to go by making sure that the principles of equality of lawmakers was applied.
All right.
To that effect.
I want to thank you very much for coming on the program. Thanks a lot for, providing some kind of education on this issue. Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a short break now. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away. Opinions are free. Facts are sacred. But truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.